Hello dear students, welcome to the video class. Today we are going to take on the second part of chapter number 1, chemical reaction and equation. In the first part we had learned what is a chemical reaction, what is a chemical equation, and how to balance a chemical equation. Today we are going to learn about the type of chemical reactions. So let us see what are the type of chemical reactions one by one. The first type of chemical reaction that we are going to study today is the combination reaction. Combination reaction is the type of reaction in which two or more reactants combines to form a single product. Let us see by taking an example. In the example given on the board, we can to know that calcium oxide reacts with water to form calcium hydroxide. Here in this reaction, two reactants combines to form a single product. Calcium oxide is also known as quicklime or simply lime, while calcium hydroxide is known as slack lime. So such type of reaction in which two or more reactants combines to form a single product, we call that reaction as combination reactions. During some reactions, heat energy is also produced. Such type of reaction we can also call them as exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction is the type of reaction in which heat energy is produced in the product or during the reactions. So the example given on the board can be given as the example of combination reaction as well as for an exothermic reaction. The calcium hydroxide that is formed here, it is in the form of a solution that is mixed in the water. This calcium hydroxide or slack lime is used for whitewashing the wall. It is because the calcium hydroxide solution, when it is applied on the wall, it used to slowly react with the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere, forming another substance known as calcium carbonate. Let us see that reaction which used to involve during the whitewashing of the wall. During the whitewashing of the wall, the solution of the calcium hydroxide that is applied on the wall used to slowly react with the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere to form a white color substance known as calcium carbonate. And during that time, water is also produced which used to get evaporated in the atmosphere. This calcium carbonate that is formed on the wall, when it gets dried out, it used to give a white shiny color appearance to the wall. Because of this reason, the solution of calcium hydroxide is used to whitewash the wall of the houses. So this is about the combination reactions. Now let us come to the next type of reaction. The next type of reaction is known as decomposition reaction. Decomposition reaction is the type of reaction in which a single substance or a single reagent breaks down to form two or more products. Let us see this decomposition reaction by taking an example. Here in this example, calcium carbonate, which is a single reagent with the application of heat energy, is broken down to form two different products. So such type of reaction in which a single substance breaks down into two or more products, we call those type of reaction as decomposition reactions. These decomposition reactions, depending upon the factors or the agent that is used for breaking down the reactants, it is divided into three different types. Let us see those three different types of decomposition reactions. The three different types of decomposition reactions are thermal decomposition reaction, electrolysis, and photodecomposition reaction. Let us take out the example of these three different types of reactions and let us discuss what are these three different types of decomposition reactions. Let us take out the first one, thermal decomposition reaction. Thermal represents heat. So this thermal decomposition reaction is a type of decomposition reaction in which the reactant is broken down into two or more products with the application of heat energy. So in the example given here, it is the example of thermal decomposition reaction. Here, calcium carbonate is broken down into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide with the application of heat energy. So such type of decomposition reaction which takes place with the application of heat energy, we call those type of decomposition reaction as thermal decomposition reaction. Now, let us take out the second one with the help of an example. The next type of decomposition reaction is electrolysis. As the name suggests, this decomposition reaction takes place with the application of electricity. One of the best examples of electrolysis is the hydrolysis of water, in which the water is broken down with the application of electricity to form hydrogen and oxygen gases. So, this type of reaction in which the reactant is broken down with the application of electricity, we call such type of decomposition reaction as electrolysis. During the electrolysis of water, the amount of hydrogen gas and the oxygen gas that is produced, they are different. The hydrogen gas is produced double than the amount of oxygen gas that is produced. This is because in a water molecule, there is a presence of two atoms of hydrogen, while oxygen is only one atom. So as the number of hydrogen atom is double than the number of oxygen atom in water, when we break down this water molecule with the application of electricity, the amount of hydrogen gas produced used to be double the oxygen amount. So this is about the electrolysis. Now let us come to the third type of decomposition reaction. The third type of decomposition reaction is known as photodecomposition reaction. Photo represents light. So this type of reaction is a reaction in which the reactant is broken down with the application of light. So one example that is given here is silver bromide is broken down with the presence of sunlight to form silver and bromine. So this type of reaction in which light energy is utilized in order to break down the reactant to form two or more products, we call such type of decomposition reaction as photodecomposition reaction. Here, this reaction is used in black and white photography. Nowadays, we use digital photography. In the older time, instead of digital photography, the black and white photography was used. This reaction is used in that black and white photography. So, one other thing is that during the thermal decomposition reaction, the reaction takes place by the absorption of heat energy. Those reactions in which heat energy is absorbed to perform the reaction, we call such type of reaction as endothermic reaction. Just now we had learned about the exothermic reaction, and that was the reaction in which heat energy is produced, while endothermic is the reaction in which heat energy is absorbed to perform the reaction. So this is about the decomposition reaction. Now let's come to the next type of reaction. The next type of reaction is the displacement reaction. Displacement reaction is a type of reaction in which a more reactive metals displace a less reactive metal from its salt solution. Let us discuss this displacement reaction by taking an example. In this example, iron is reacted with copper sulfate to form iron sulfate and copper. Here, the metal used in these reactions are iron and copper. Iron and copper, when we compare the reactive nature of them, iron is more reactive than copper. So this copper which is present in the solution of this copper sulfate, it is displaced by this iron which is more reactive. And after displacing this copper from copper sulfate by iron, it used to form iron sulfate and copper. The iron is grey in color, while the copper sulfate is blue in color. But after performing this displacement reaction, after forming this iron sulfate and copper, the color of the solution used to change into green color, while the color of the copper is brownish in color. This brownish colored copper used to get deposited on the surface of the iron that we use for this reaction. Because of that reason, the color of the iron that is used in this reaction changed from grey to brown color due to the deposition of copper above the surface of iron. So this is about the displacement reaction. Now let us come to the next type of reaction. The next type of reaction is double displacement reaction. This is a type of reaction in which two different compounds are reacted and there is exchange of the ions. Let us see by taking an example. In this example, two different compounds that are sodium sulfate and barium chloride, they are reacted. When these two are reacted, this metallic part, the ions of this metallic part, they used to exchange. After exchanging, they form barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Here, The barium sulfate that is formed, it is a white color precipitate. Precipitate, they are the substances which are insoluble and used to form in the solution or in the product. The precipitate may be of different colors and may form in different layers of the solution. It may form on the upper layer of the solution, or it may be settling at the bottom of the solution. So, the reaction in which a precipitate is formed, we call it as a precipitation reaction. So, the example that is given here can be used for both double displacement reaction as well as for precipitation reaction. So, this is about the double displacement reaction. Now, let us come to the next type of reaction. The next type of reaction is known as the oxidation reaction. Oxidation reaction is the type of reaction in which oxygen is added to a substance or hydrogen is removed out from a compound. So let us see by taking an example. So in this example, carbon is reacted with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. So as oxygen is added to carbon to form carbon dioxide, we can call this reaction as an oxidation reaction. Here in this reaction, carbon is the one which gets oxidized. So the substance which gets oxidized is the one in which oxygen is added. So in this reaction, as oxygen is added to carbon, we can say that carbon gets oxidized. So now, let us see about the next type of reaction. The next type of reaction is reduction reaction. Reduction reaction is the type of reaction in which oxygen is removed out from a compound or hydrogen is added to a substance. So, let us see an example of reduction reaction. In this example, iron oxide is reacted with carbon monoxide to form iron and carbon dioxide. So when iron oxide is reacted with carbon monoxide, the oxygen from iron oxide is removed out and form iron and carbon dioxide. So as oxygen is removed out from iron oxide to form iron, there is a removal of oxygen. Because of that, we can call this reaction as reduction reaction. So the substance from which oxygen is removed out is iron oxide. So we can say that iron oxide gets reduced. So such type of reaction in which oxygen is removed out from a substance or hydrogen is added to another substance, we call such type of reaction as reduction reaction. Now, let us see the last type of reaction. The last type of reaction is redox reaction. Redox reaction is the combination of oxidation and reduction reaction. The name itself can be divided into two parts, red and ox. Red represent reduction, ox represent oxidation. So in this reaction, oxygen will be removed out from a substance and that will be added to another substance. That means both oxidation and reduction will be involved in this reaction. Now, let us discuss this redox reaction by taking an example. In this example, copper oxide is reacted with hydrogen to form copper and water. Here, from this copper oxide, oxygen is removed out. So, a reduction reaction is taking place. At the same time, the oxygen that is removed out from the copper oxide, it is added to hydrogen to form water. So, here, addition of oxygen to a substance is involved. That means oxidation process also is involved. Because of this reason, we call such type of reaction as redox reaction. Now, let us see which substance get oxidized and which substance get reduced. So as oxygen is removed out from copper oxide, we can say that copper oxide get reduced. And oxygen is added to hydrogen to form water. So the substance to which oxygen is added is this hydrogen. So this hydrogen get oxidized. So let us discuss once again about which substance get oxidized and which substance get reduced. The substance from which oxygen is removed out, that substance get reduced, while the substance to which oxygen is added, that substance get oxidized. So these are the different types of chemical reactions that is included in this chapter and that we discussed in this class. Now, let us see the effect of oxidation reaction in our everyday life. Two common effects used to occur in our surrounding related to this oxidation reaction which affect our everyday life. The first effect of oxidation reaction in our everyday life is corrosion process. Corrosion actually, it is the reaction of a metal with any substance or particles that is present in the atmospheric air or in our surrounding. So, most of the metals that undergoes corrosion process used to react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere. It is not that only oxygen present in the atmosphere used to react with the metals to form corrosion. There are many other substances also which used to react with the metal to perform the corrosion process. But the most common components of the atmosphere that used to react with the metal to perform corrosion process is the oxygen. So when these metals react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere, it used to undergo oxidation reaction. Because of this reason, we call corrosion as the effect of oxidation reaction. Let us take one common example, that is rusting of iron. Iron, when kept in the moist air means there will be presence of oxygen as well as there will be presence of water vapor. So when iron is reacted with moist air, it generally used to react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere and it forms iron oxide. So here, in this rusting process, iron and oxygen reacts together. During this time, oxygen is added to iron to form iron oxide. So, rusting process is the most common corrosion process that is taking place in our surrounding. Now, let us take up the next effect of oxidation reaction. The next effect is the rancidity process. In this rancidity process, the oil or the fats that is present in the food items used to react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere and used to spoil the food items. You might have also noticed that when the packet food items that you buy from the market, after opening it, if you leave it without eating for 2 or 3 days, there used to be a bad smell that used to come out of the food substance. That is because the oil or the fat that is present in the food item have reacted with the oxygen present in the atmosphere and become rancid. So, if a food item undergoes rancidity process, after that we said that the food had become rancid. So, these are the things that we studied in today's class. In the next video class, we will take up the next chapter of this book. So, for today, let us wind up here, dear student. Thank you.